Let's get something straight from the start. Just being a good person isn't what's going to save you in this world. If you've been told that kindness alone will carry you to success, you've been sold a comforting lie. And deep down, you feel it. You felt the tension between how you act and how the world reacts. How many times have you done the right thing and got punished for it? How many times have you been honest, loyal, generous, and what you got in return was neglect, disrespect, or straight-up betrayal? You've been trained to believe that goodness guarantees justice, that noble intentions automatically create noble outcomes. But look around. That's not how life works. The world doesn't pay you for being pure. It pays you for understanding the game. This is where Machiavelli walks into your life like a cold slap of reality. In The Prince, he doesn't talk to the ideal version of humanity. He talks to the real one, the part that's selfish, opportunistic, capable of cruelty when threatened. He understood something most people refuse to accept. Human nature can be kind, yes, but it can also be ruthless when it has something to gain. Machiavelli's core message is simple. Virtue without strategy is weakness. Kindness without a spine, without boundaries, without intelligence, is a trap you walk into willingly. So pause and ask yourself honestly, how many times have you fallen into that trap? How many times have you assumed other people have the same heart, the same rules, the same conscience as you, and paid the price for that fantasy? Think about the people you admire, the people at the top of your company, the leaders of movements, the creators whose names echo in rooms you're not even in. Do you really believe they got there on pure intentions alone? On being nice? No. They got there because they understood timing, perception, and power. They knew when to be generous and when to be ruthless. They learned how to move quietly, and when necessary, in the shadows. The uncomfortable truth is this: morality is not a barrier to power. It's a tool. The difference between a strategist and a victim is knowing when to use it and when to put it away. Your problem isn't that you're good. Your problem is that you're unprotected. You walk into social, romantic, or professional situations assuming everyone is playing fair. They're not. The world is full of smiling predators wearing the mask of the nice guy, the supportive friend, the caring coworker. You become the ideal target, predictable, eager to please, terrified of conflict. And that's exactly where Machiavelli offers you an alternative: intelligent kindness. This isn't about becoming a villain. It isn't about abandoning your principles. It's about sharpening them. It's about pairing your goodness with awareness, boundaries, and cold clarity. Intelligent kindness means you still care, but you're no longer careless. You pay attention to patterns. You watch how people act, not just what they say. You listen to the tone behind the compliment, the intent behind the favor, the motive behind the apology. You learn to read people not from paranoia, but from self-respect. You stop giving everyone equal access to your time, your energy, your loyalty. Machiavelli famously said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." You've probably been conditioned to chase the second and avoid the first. You want to be liked, accepted, seen as harmless. But ask yourself, what has that actually earned you? Has it brought you deep respect? Has it given you leverage? Has it protected you when someone decided to step over your boundaries? Or has it just made it easier for people to use you without consequences? Here's the harsh truth. Kindness without strength doesn't inspire admiration. It invites pity. And pity doesn't protect you. Pity doesn't promote you. Pity doesn't keep your name clean when someone decides to throw dirt on it. This is not a call to abandon your values. It's a call to stop letting your values be used against you. The world doesn't reward the most innocent. It rewards the most strategically aware. True virtue isn't about letting people walk all over you in the name of being good. It's about knowing how to balance ethics with realism. Machiavelli understood that image, perception, and presence are weapons, and if you refuse to pick them up, don't be surprised when someone else uses them on you. Let's be blunt. How many times have you stayed silent just to keep the peace, only to realize later that your silence allowed disrespect to grow roots? How many times have you laughed off a comment that actually hurt you, just because you didn't want to make it awkward? How many times have you forgiven someone who wasn't sorry, just because you didn't want to be seen as petty? This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about becoming calculated. It's about knowing when to speak and when to say nothing, when to forgive and when to cut off, when to bend and when to let something snap. Kindness is powerful only when it is backed by the willingness to walk away, to say no, to enforce consequences. Most people think the world values a pure heart. It doesn't. The world values power, stability, and the ability to make difficult choices without crumbling. Your kindness will only be respected when it is backed by authority, even if that authority is just your unshakable self-respect. Machiavelli would never tell you to become a lamb in a world of wolves. He would tell you this: do not let your morality enslave you. Do not let your desire to be seen as good turn you into someone who tolerates the intolerable. True virtue is intelligent. It adapts. It sees clearly. It refuses to be weaponized. So, here's the question that starts everything. How much longer will you let the world step on you? How much longer will you confuse martyrdom with goodness? This is not about changing who you are at your core. It's about learning to protect that core, to shield it with strategy, perception, and strength. To learn when to smile and when to show your teeth. Let's go deeper into one of the most uncomfortable truths. In this world, it's not enough to be strong. You have to look strong. It's not enough to be intelligent. You have to project intelligence. This is the brutal logic of perception, and it governs your life whether you like it or not. Think about it. How many times have you watched someone incompetent rise higher than someone who clearly knew more, worked harder, and tried longer? How many times have you seen a manipulator promoted, while a loyal, decent person stayed stuck in the same place? That isn't random. That's perception at work. People don't automatically follow the good, the honest, or even the most qualified. They follow the person who seems to be in control. The one who carries themselves like they belong. The one who doesn't just quietly do the work, but makes their presence felt. The one who, even when they don't have all the answers, behaves like they can find them. Here's where many good people sabotage themselves. They think truth is self-advertising. They believe competence will somehow announce itself. If I just keep doing the right thing, someone will notice. But the world doesn't operate like a fair judge. It operates like an audience. It responds to what it sees, what it feels, what it assumes. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. It's not just about who you really are. It's about what people believe you are. An insecure leader, even a brilliant one, doesn't inspire confidence. A worker who never speaks up, never showcases their value, stays invisible. A person who has depth but carries themselves like an afterthought won't be seen as desirable, no matter how much they have to offer. So, what's the solution? You learn to master your narrative. You stop leaving your image in the hands of other people's assumptions. You become intentional about how you show up, how you speak, how you hold yourself. This isn't about faking a personality or becoming a fraud. It's about directing attention toward the truth you actually want people to see. In every social interaction, people are not seeing reality in pure form. They're seeing their version of it, filtered through emotion, bias, insecurity, and past experiences. The real question is, are you letting those filters bury you, or are you using them? If you're good but appear timid, you will be treated as timid. If you're just but present as soft and apologetic, you will be stepped on. If you're talented but show up as nervous and hesitant, your talent will go unnoticed. It's that simple and that brutal. The art of perception is what separates those who steer their life from those who are dragged by it. This is why so many people who are genuinely good end up bitter. They think, but I did everything right. Why wasn't that enough? Because you weren't just being evaluated on what you did. You were being evaluated on how you appeared while doing it. Now here's where the game gets darker and smarter. Power doesn't just come from how you look. It comes from what you know and what others don't. This is the realm of information control. Have you ever noticed how the most powerful people in a room always seem to know something others don't? How they speak less, but when they speak, everyone listens? It's because they understand a simple law. Information is power, and you don't give away power for free. Naive people believe that total transparency is always the moral high ground. I say everything I think. I share everything I know. I have nothing to hide. It sounds noble. In reality, it often makes you vulnerable. When you reveal every intention, every doubt, every plan, you give other people the blueprint to your mind. And once someone can predict you, they can control you. Machiavelli warned that a ruler must know how to conceal their true intentions. Not to become a chronic liar, but to survive in a world where everyone is looking for leverage. You don't have to broadcast what you're planning. You don't have to explain yourself to people who haven't earned that access. You don't have to answer every question just because someone asked it. Strategic communication means saying only what is necessary, and no more. It means letting some thoughts stay unspoken. It means allowing a bit of mystery to surround you. Because the moment you become fully readable, fully predictable, others can move 3 steps ahead of you. Think about the times you overshared and regretted it. The moment you told someone your fears or your plans, and they later used that information against you. Think about the times you gave long explanations to people who didn't really care, just because you didn't want them to think badly of you. That energy, that information, that emotional exposure, none of it was free. It cost you power. Real power isn't in speaking more. It's in speaking deliberately. It's in making your words rare enough that people actually lean in when you talk. The one who speaks less, explains less, and just moves with intention is often the one who commands the most respect. Why? Because silence creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates curiosity. Curiosity creates psychological gravity. People pay attention to what they can't fully read. When you're always talking, always explaining, always justifying, you become static noise, predictable, easy to categorize, easy to dismiss. So, ask yourself, are you the person who feels the need to explain every choice, every emotion, every move? Or are you becoming someone who chooses when to share and when to simply act? Because in a Machiavellian world, information is currency, and you can't keep giving it away like it's nothing. Now we need to step into one of the most dangerous and misunderstood skills of power, the art of being unreadable. Most people are painfully predictable. You say a certain thing, they react in a certain way. You press a certain emotional button, they explode, chase, apologize, over-explain, or collapse. You can almost script their reactions before they even open their mouth. And here's the thing, if someone can predict you, they can control you. Think about your own patterns. When someone disrespects you, do you always react the same way? When someone gives you attention, do you always soften up? When someone pulls away, do you always chase? When someone challenges you, do you always rush to defend yourself? If the answer is yes, then anyone who pays a little attention can run your mind like a program. This is why Machiavelli understood the value of unpredictability. A leader who is easy to read is easy to trap. But a leader who keeps a layer of mystery, who doesn't react the same way every time, who sometimes walks away instead of arguing, sometimes stays silent instead of explaining, sometimes acts when nobody expected it, that kind of person becomes dangerous. And dangerous, in the language of power, really means respected. Being unpredictable does not mean being chaotic. This is where people get it wrong. It doesn't mean doing random things just to confuse everyone. It means refusing to let others box you into one emotional pattern. It means that people around you cannot say with full certainty, "If I do this, I know exactly how they'll react." When they lose that certainty, they lose leverage. Unpredictability starts with something deeper, emotional control. This is where most people lose the game before it even begins. You've been told that expressing every feeling is authentic, that reacting immediately is real. But there's a difference between being honest and being uncontrolled. When every anger, insecurity, jealousy, or fear immediately spills out of you, you're not being real. You're being exposed. And exposed people are easy to use. Think about the last time someone got under your skin. Maybe it was a subtle insult, a dismissive comment, a disrespectful tone. Did you snap? Did you start explaining yourself to someone who wasn't even listening? Did you raise your voice? Did you send that long emotional message you later regretted? In that moment, who was leading? You, or the person who triggered the reaction? Machiavelli's principle is cold. The one who controls your emotions controls you. If they can make you angry whenever they want, they can make you look unhinged whenever they want. If they can make you feel guilty, they can steer your decisions. If they can make you afraid, they can freeze you into inaction. All they have to do is press the right emotional button and watch you dance. Real power is the opposite. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not performative. Real power is the calm person in the storm, the one whose voice doesn't shake, the one who can feel emotion but doesn't let emotion drive the car, the one who may burn inside, but from the outside, moves slowly, deliberately, on their own timing. Emotional control doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop reacting automatically. You start to notice the gap between trigger and response, that split second where you can choose. Someone disrespects you, and instead of snapping, you pause, you breathe, you watch. You listen to what they're revealing about themselves. You decide whether this deserves your energy, your words, or your silence. You're not numbing yourself. You're directing yourself. And here's what happens when you start doing this consistently. People get confused. They expect you to explode, and you don't. They expect you to chase, and you don't. They expect you to over-explain, and you don't. They expect you to fold, and you don't. That confusion is powerful. It means they can't rely on their old tactics anymore. It means they have to think before they move against you. It means their favorite emotional weapons stop working. This is why Machiavelli would rather you be controlled and quiet than loud and reactive. The loudest person in the room is almost never the one with the most power. The loudest one is usually the easiest to provoke, the easiest to expose, the easiest to push into a mistake. But the one who stays calm, who doesn't rush to fill every silence, who doesn't scramble to justify themselves, that person is unnerving. In an argument, the calm one wins, even if they say very little. Why? Because calmness signals inner certainty. It signals that you are not desperate for validation. You are not terrified of disapproval. You are not at the mercy of the other person's mood. People feel that, even if they can't explain it. In negotiation, emotional control is everything. The person who panics first loses. The person who can't handle silence overpays. The person who is terrified of losing the deal signs on any terms. The one who is willing to walk away, who doesn't show desperation, who doesn't reveal every thought, that's the one who usually walks out with what they want. And this connects directly to unpredictability. When your emotions are steady, your actions stop being so obvious. You're no longer driven by spikes of anger, waves of insecurity, and sudden impulses. You're driven by clarity. Sometimes you respond immediately. Sometimes you wait. Sometimes you disengage fully. Sometimes you confront directly. People can't use your emotions as a map anymore because your emotions are no longer public property. Ask yourself, who are the people in your life that truly intimidate you a little? Not because they're violent or cruel, but because they're hard to read. The ones who don't talk too much. The ones who don't react to every little thing. The ones who can look at you calmly when everyone else is losing their mind. Those people have something you can feel. Inner command. That's what you need to cultivate. It starts with small choices. When you feel offended, don't react immediately. Sit with it. Maybe the best move is silence. Maybe the best move is a short, firm sentence. Maybe the best move is distance, not discussion. When you want to send a long emotional text, don't. Shorten it. Cut it to the bone. Or don't send it at all. When you feel the urge to defend yourself to people who have already judged you, stop. Notice how many times you're trying to convince people who don't care about the truth. Emotional control is a daily discipline. It's not something you decide once and then magically have forever. You will slip. You will overreact sometimes. You will say things you regret. The point is not perfection. The point is progress, reacting less, choosing more. And slowly, everything around you shifts. People stop testing you with the same intensity because you've become harder to move. People who thrived on your emotional chaos start losing interest. The ones who stay are those who can handle your boundaries and respect your calmness. You become less available as a target. You become more available as a presence that people don't want to lose. Machiavelli's version of goodness isn't about pure obedience or self-sacrifice. It's about effective goodness, kindness protected by strength, generosity guided by strategy, morality armored with self-command. When you combine emotional control with unpredictability, you become something rare, a person who can't be easily studied, triggered, or steered. You still feel, you still care, but you don't hand strangers the remote control to your nervous system. You're not here to be an open book for anyone to scribble in. You're here to be the one turning the pages on purpose, and from that state calm, composed, a little mysterious, you're finally ready for the next layer of power, learning not just when to react, but when to step back completely and let distance do the work for you. Now we move into one of the most underestimated, most misused, and most misunderstood principles of power: strategic distance. Most people live as if closeness equals value. They believe being constantly present, endlessly available, always reachable, always responsive, always saying yes, always showing up will somehow make them appreciated. But the paradox is brutal. The more available you are, the less valuable you become. Think about it. The things you take for granted in your life, your phone, your social media feed, your daily routines, do you appreciate them deeply? Of course not. They're always there. You don't even notice them. Now think about something scarce, a person who rarely gives their time, an opportunity that doesn't come around often, a mentor who only speaks occasionally. But every time they do, their words hit hard. Scarcity creates weight. Scarcity creates importance. Scarcity creates meaning. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers against being too familiar, too close, too accessible. Not because a leader should look down on others, but because familiarity breeds contempt. The more someone sees you, the more they assume they understand you. The more you give, the more they believe they're entitled to your energy. The more available you are, the more replaceable you appear. Look at your own life for evidence. How many times have you gone out of your way for someone, offering support, time, effort, only to be ignored the moment you needed something? How often have you chased people who didn't appreciate you, thinking that showing more care would make them reciprocate? How many relationships, friendships, or workplace dynamics have slowly turned into situations where your presence was simply expected? This isn't betrayal. It's human nature. What is abundant becomes invisible. What is always available feels cheap. Strategic distance is the antidote. It means you stop flooding the world with your presence. You stop trying to be everything for everyone. You stop responding instantly to every message. You stop bending your schedule for people who wouldn't do the same. You stop rewarding inconsistency with access. It doesn't mean disappearing out of nowhere or ghosting people for drama. It means being intentional with your energy. There is a difference between distance caused by insecurity and distance used deliberately as a tool of power. Insecurity-driven distance is when you pull away because you're afraid. Strategic distance is when you pull away because you're aware. Let's break this down. 1. Distance increases your psychological weight. When you stop showing up everywhere, people naturally become more curious about you. Your silence becomes a question mark. Your absence becomes something noticeable. Your presence becomes something meaningful. Think of that one person who rarely speaks, but when they do, everyone pays attention. It's not magic. It's design. You can create that effect, not by acting mysterious artificially, but by refusing to cheapen your presence through oversupply. 2. Distance filters your relationships automatically. When you're always available, you attract people who want convenience, not connection. When you become more selective, those people disappear naturally. They weren't real connections to begin with. They were consumers of your energy. True relationships don't fade because you take time for yourself. Only shallow ones do. Your distance protects you by removing those who are only there for what they could take. 3. Distance resets the power dynamic. If someone has started taking you for granted, talking down to you, ignoring your effort, assuming your time belongs to them, the worst thing you can do is try harder. Trying harder only lowers your perceived value. Strategic distance, on the other hand, snaps the dynamic back into clarity. Pull back quietly. No explanation, no dramatic announcement, just less access. You'd be shocked how quickly people notice when their always available resource isn't there. You don't have to punish them. You simply stop rewarding them. 4. Distance gives you space to think. When you're constantly reacting, texting back, answering calls, showing up, you have no room to observe, reflect, or strategize. Distance creates mental space. Distance lets you see patterns. Distance protects you from emotional urgency. Every great strategist, political, military, entrepreneurial, understood this. They did not move constantly. They moved intentionally. Distance builds respect without confrontation. Sometimes people don't take you seriously because you've never shown that you're willing to walk away. They think you'll tolerate anything. They think you'll always be there no matter how little they give. Distance breaks this illusion quietly and effectively. You don't have to argue. You don't have to explain your worth. You don't have to demand respect. You simply act like someone who respects themselves, and people follow that energy. Now, let's talk about the fear people have about distance. Won't they forget about me? Won't I lose opportunities? Won't people think I don't care? Here's the truth. If the only thing keeping you in someone's mind is constant chasing, constant effort, constant overgiving, then they never valued you in the first place. Distance doesn't erase genuine connections. It reveals them. It exposes who cared only about your availability, not your identity. So how do you apply strategic distance without being dramatic or manipulative? You start with small shifts. Stop responding instantly. Stop explaining your absence. Stop apologizing for having boundaries. Stop filling silence with nervous talking. Stop attending every invitation just to be polite. Stop initiating all the conversations. Stop rewarding inconsistency with attention. Then something remarkable happens. People begin to seek you out. They start to wonder what you're doing. They respect your time more. Your words hit harder because you're not flooding the air with them. Your energy feels grounded rather than desperate. You move from being the one who chases to the one who chooses. Distance plus emotional control equals a new form of presence. When you combine strategic distance with emotional calmness, your presence becomes powerful. People feel something different around you. They sense you're not desperate for approval. They sense you don't attach your worth to their reactions. They sense that you aren't afraid to walk away. That combination creates a psychological shift in how people treat you. Suddenly, your boundaries are respected. Your time is valued. Your silence is noticed. Your presence is felt. You stop being just another voice in the room. You become the voice people look for when it finally speaks. Strategic distance isn't about punishing others. It's about preserving yourself. You don't disappear to teach them a lesson. You disappear to remember who you are. You don't withdraw to manipulate. You withdraw to recalibrate. You don't reduce access because you're angry. You reduce access because you finally understand your worth. Distance is not avoidance. Distance is self-respect made visible. And once you master it, the world treats you differently, not because you've changed who you are at your core, but because you've changed how accessible that core is. Distance turns you from an easy option into a rare opportunity, and that's when people finally start paying attention. Now we arrive at one of the most important, most difficult, and most transformative principles of power: strategic patience. If strategic distance protects your value, then strategic patience multiplies it. Most people are addicted to urgency. They want success now, respect now, recognition now, revenge now, closure now, answers now. But Machiavelli and every strategist from Sun Tzu to modern negotiation experts understood something the average person never learns. Power doesn't belong to the one who moves first. It belongs to the one who moves at the right moment. Let that sink in. The world is full of people who act on impulse. They respond to messages instantly. They make decisions out of fear. They confront emotionally instead of thinking strategically. They chase opportunities that aren't even good for them. They sabotage themselves by trying to force everything too quickly. Impulse is the enemy of power. Timing is the ally of power. Think of a hunter. A real hunter does not fire the moment they see movement in the woods. They observe, they track, they wait. They understand that shooting too early ruins everything. They preserve their energy until the exact moment the shot matters. This is how influence works. This is how social power works. This is how reputation works. This is how respect works. 1. Strategic patience helps you avoid emotional traps. Many conflicts accelerate because someone couldn't wait. Someone couldn't tolerate a moment of discomfort. Someone needed immediate resolution. Someone needed to prove a point right now, rather than letting the situation unfold. How many times have you said something too quickly and regretted it? How many times have you acted out of anger, only to realize later that silence would have been far more effective? How many times have you confronted someone too soon, when waiting a day, or even an hour, would have given you the leverage, the clarity, or the calmness you needed? Strategic patience gives you oxygen. It allows you to let emotion burn off before you act. It allows you to see the bigger picture instead of reacting to the small moment. 2. Strategic patience makes other people reveal themselves. Most people expose their true intentions simply because they cannot wait. They can't hide their jealousy. They can't suppress their insecurity. They can't maintain their lies over time. They can't pretend to be someone else for long. When you wait, when you don't rush to respond, when you pull back your reactions, you give people enough rope to show who they really are. Someone who is pretending to care will lose interest. Someone who is testing you will reveal their motive. Someone who is manipulating you will slip. Someone who is pretending loyalty will get tired of the act. Rushing blinds you. Waiting reveals truth. 3. Strategic patience gives your actions more weight. When you're always acting, always talking, always explaining, always reacting, your actions lose meaning. You become background noise. Your presence becomes predictable. But when you wait, when you choose your moment, when you don't act out of fear or urgency, your actions hit harder. Silence at the right moment is more powerful than shouting at the wrong one. A boundary set calmly is more impactful than 10 emotional arguments. A decision made after patience is more respected than a decision made under pressure. Timing transforms simple actions into strategic ones. 4. Strategic patience protects you from making weak deals. People who can't wait accept anything. They accept bad partnerships because they fear being alone. They accept poor treatment because they fear losing someone. They accept low-paying opportunities because they fear missing out. They accept disrespect because they fear conflict. They accept crumbs because they fear that crumbs are the best they can get. But when you master patience, you look at those crumbs and say, "No, I'll wait for something that matches my value." And, ironically, that's when better opportunities appear. Not because the universe magically rewards you, but because your standards finally align with your timing. 5. Strategic patience creates psychological pressure without aggression. In any negotiation or relationship, the one who can wait longer has the advantage. Why? Because impatience exposes weakness. If someone is trying to push you into a quick decision, they're hiding something. If someone gets irritated because you need time to respond, they wanted control, not connection. If someone demands urgency, they fear losing leverage. When you remain calm, collected, and unhurried, the other person becomes uneasy. What are they thinking? Why aren't they reacting? Why aren't they rushing? That uncertainty gives you power. People who rush need something from you. People who can wait are not controlled by the moment. 6. Strategic patience transforms you from reactive to intentional. Most people are puppets pulled by urgency. They are yanked by notifications, texts, impulses, insecurities, and external pressure. They move not because they want to, but because they feel they must. When you embrace patience, everything changes. You stop living on emotional autopilot. You stop reacting to every stimulus. You stop chasing situations that don't matter. You stop trying to control what isn't yours to control. Instead, you move deliberately. You choose your battles. You decide when you speak and when you stay silent. You decide when to confront and when to let things unfold. You decide when to act and when to wait. This control over your timing is control over your life. 7. Patience, distance, plus emotional control equals the untouchable state. These three elements reinforce one another. Distance makes you scarce and valued. Emotional control makes you stable and unreadable. Patience makes your decisions strategic instead of desperate. When you combine all three, you become incredibly difficult to manipulate. People can't read you. People can't pressure you. People can't rush you. People can't predict you. People can't break you emotionally. People can't force you into choices that don't benefit you. You move like someone who knows their value. You speak like someone who doesn't fear silence. You act like someone who is willing to walk away from anything that insults their intelligence. That is power, not dominance, not cruelty, not aggression, just power in its cleanest, clearest form. And now we reach the final layer, becoming an anomaly in the system. Most people live their entire lives playing by rules they never questioned. They move like everyone else moves. They think like they were taught to think. They react how society expects them to react. They follow predictable emotional patterns. They chase validation like everyone else. And the system, the social system, the political system, the relational system, rewards them with mediocrity. To rise above that, you must become the exception. The one who doesn't panic. The one who doesn't overshare. The one who doesn't chase. The one who doesn't respond instantly. The one who doesn't react emotionally. The one who doesn't follow the script. You must become the person who thinks in longer timelines, moves in deliberate patterns, and refuses to be controlled by urgency. That's the moment the world shifts. That's the moment people see you differently. That's the moment you stop being predictable and start becoming powerful. And once you learn this, once you apply it, once you feel the difference in how people treat you, there is no going back. Now the question is yours. Are you ready to start moving this way? Or will you let these principles die as theory in your mind? Comment below. Tell me which principle you're applying first. I'm reading every response. This is where your transformation begins. And now, before we end this, I want you to sit with one simple truth. None of this matters unless you act on it. You can know about emotional control, strategic distance, perception, timing, patience, presence, and unpredictability. But if you continue moving like the same version of yourself, the outcomes in your life will not change. Knowledge without application becomes guilt. Wisdom without execution becomes regret. The world you're stepping into is not gentle. It doesn't reward innocence. It doesn't reward purity. It rewards awareness. It rewards those who see clearly, who move intentionally, who guard their energy, who don't hand out access like charity. It rewards those who sharpen their kindness instead of weaponizing it against themselves. You've spent too long believing that being good is enough. You've spent too long explaining yourself, waiting for validation, tolerating disrespect, acting out of urgency, and letting the world dictate your value. But now you know better. And once you know better, staying the same becomes a choice. So, here's my final question for you, the one that actually matters. What will the next version of you look like? The one who doesn't chase approval, the one who doesn't rush, the one who isn't predictable, the one who holds silence like a blade, the one who speaks with intention, the one who knows their worth without needing applause, the one who enters a room and doesn't beg to be seen, because their presence makes itself felt. That version of you is not a fantasy. It's a decision. So tell me in the comments right now, which principle are you going to apply first? I'm here. I'm reading everything. And this isn't just advice anymore. This is the beginning of your shift.